Okay guys, we're going to start. But I'm not going to do the intro. I'm going to let the actual host do that. Hello Steve.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
You want to introduce the show?
So much appreciate you being on your show.
Well, no, I'm not even from here. We're live from Warsaw, guys. We're live from Warsaw. Hello.
Okay, so my name is Steve Gillmor, and I have a show with my producer, also known as my wife, partner, crime, of the Gillmor gang. This is a show that started as a one-on-one conversation with my lead analyst in the InfoWorld Test Center, a guy named John Udell, who you should look up on the internet because he's brilliant and continues to be a major force. And we used to have these conversations, once a week or so for about an hour, and they were just frankly hilarious. He's much funnier than I am, but he also laughs at my jokes, so I was in for that. And that conversation, after a while, we started bringing in other people. People like Mike Arrington from TechCrunch, Dave Weiner, who was the inventor of RSS, podcasting, and many other things. And it kind of grew into something where I thought that it would be good. Podcasting was just beginning, and we were able to broadcast on a par with the major networks for the price of having a tape recorder and an internet connection. And so we decided to put that conversation out in the public. And that was about 2003.
I think so.
Yeah, something like that. Over the years, we've had success and we've had massive failure in terms of telling the truth in public. And at some point, Tina and I built a studio using a technology called the TriCaster from a company called NewTek, which you guys, if you're interested in doing what we're doing here, this is an incredible technology that allows you basically to have broadcast quality video with multiple cameras. And then we brought in over the internet, using Skype, all of the people that we usually have conversations with, peers, other editors from trade publications, I don't know how to say this, but thought leaders and the like, and we turned it into a video show. And that video show has been, how many years has that been? About 7 or 8, 10?
I think around 6, maybe.
It's been quite a while. And Tina is the producer of that show, and she's also the director. She sits usually, this is how I actually feel when I'm doing the show, is I'm sitting here talking, and then there's this murmur behind me in the control room of Tina basically telling me that I'm an idiot, and would you please sit up straight, and all this kind of stuff. So, and then occasionally she'll put a title on that says who I am. She's doing that electronically with Supers. So these gentlemen are functioning as the representatives of our production environment. And we don't know what they're going to do with this, but we do know that hopefully we'll be able to put a version of this on TechCrunch, which is a website that I've been a contributing editor of for a long time. So
today we're going to do a version of that show.
That's right. And we've done this before at conferences, and the thing that I want to get across is that this conversation is not us up here and you back there. In fact, we're all in this conversation. And I've asked Andrew, who's the CEO of Bitspiration, to basically bring you guys into the conversation early, rather than having we discuss this and you then are told what to think and then you go away. Rather, what you guys think, if you agree with me or you agree with Paul or, you know, the people who are on the panel, there's a consensus that develops in the audience, in the room, of what you think. You may agree with some of what I have to say, some of what Tina has to say, or
Tina G and Tina B.
Right. And I will try and introduce those folks, but the point is that there's a takeaway that you get from this, where you decide what you think about this, and then you take that information, if it's valuable to you, and you go out in the world, and you make it happen. And that's what's going on in Poland, from what I can tell, as far as the technology scene is. You guys are taking advantage of the fact that the barrier to entry of the internet and the cloud is so small that you can basically take your dreams and your ideas and the bad ideas and the good ideas, everything, and you can make it happen. And that's the opportunity that you're seizing, and it's very exciting. So, Andrew, do you have any?
And let's announce who's on our show today.
Okay, Tina, say.
Certainly. To my far right is Paul Papadimitriou. Did I get that right? All right. Tough name. Thank you. Miss Tina Baker. Our birthday boy, Titus Saitowski.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm Tina Gillmor, and this is Steve Gillmor.
So if this isn't really exciting and fascinating, it's your fault.
That's right.
Andrew, do you have any comments? Let's just kick this off where it belongs, which is out there.
So actually, first of all, thanks for making this show live and here. So I will try to somehow involve part of the attendees to join the show. So yeah, we started Bitspiration about 5 years ago to make it happen. So I'm really happy because we know that Poland is a quite strong engineering, let's say, talent group of people, and the reason why we started Bitspiration is we want to connect somehow engineers with business people, and we are trying to do it. So that's what I want to say at the beginning, and I hope that all of you, audience, will add something valuable to this discussion.
Okay, so,
Stuart.
Stuart.
The heckler.
A paid heckler. I want to contrast ecosystems, sustainable and innovation environments. We have Silicon Valley, which is a mature, self-propagating environment. And in other parts of the world, we're looking at Poland, for example, it's emerging, it's underway. How do you rationalize the problems of interfacing the ecosystem? So you have investments coming from Silicon Valley. How do you monitor projects and progress of companies? Is that a problem? Investing cross-border distance.
Paul?
Want me to take that one?
Yeah.
So I'm lucky enough to have surveyed a lot of ecosystems because although I'm here in Poland, I've actually traveled a lot in emerging markets. I used to live in Southeast Asia, traveled to South America, I've traveled to, of course, Eastern Europe. It's in transition, Poland might be one of the ecosystems. I started coming here, thanks to actually Andre, maybe 6 years ago, and there was nothing, basically, right? There was a few startups here and there, some IDs. Fast forward 6 years, and now I've actually invested in 2 startups that started here, that I've relocated into Silicon Valley. This is the model that I see more and more happening. I was in Greece a few days ago, the same thing happened. You keep some part of the team here, and you have actually the part of the decision-making team are in the Valley or sometimes in New York. I'm not sure it's a perfect model, but that's what happens. And US investors, for the moment, besides a few, Dave McClure comes to mind obviously, are a bit still scared to invest in abroad, which is fine by the way, because it's complicated. But the pace of change of these ecosystems is really, really going fast, much faster. And since I don't want to talk for too long, the other thing I'll say is that Silicon Valley is not the only model. We'll see different models with different qualities for different countries. Not all countries can be and won't be, and I don't think they should be the Silicon Valley. And they will have, we have models in India or in Switzerland, where universities are very heavily involved. You have models where it's actually completely constructed, and that's fine. I think there's a dream of the Silicon Valley. The money is there, but there's a lot of money also already in Europe that actually works there. There's been a panel just before us here with massive investments coming from Europe, in Europe. The same happens in every continent. And I think that there are specialties that you can find in some ecosystems that you don't find here. We all talk about consumer tech, but there's clean tech, biotech, agri-tech, fintech, and there will be other hotspots in the world. The Silicon Valley will always be the Silicon Valley, but there's other speeds and other ecosystems will emerge.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Silicon
By the way,
You've got to get the mic closer to your mouth.
Okay, like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
what is it that you bring to the startup community? Are you a startup guy?
I'm one of the many ancillary services that are around.
And what are those services?
Coming up with IP strategies of making sure that as you're starting out as a startup, as a new company, that you don't miss the opportunities of filing or preserving your IP, that you don't make mistakes along the way in terms of making offers for sale and showing at conferences before you filed out patent applications, which are critical. The date you file is critical to preserving your IP rights, in the United States at least.
So if you were advising this group of people about what they need to be careful about in terms of patents and that kind of information, what would you tell them?
I think the critical thing is a filing date. When I get involved in litigation and I try to invalidate a patent, what happens a lot in technology is that there's a watershed date when everyone is going to get the same idea just about the same time and have a stampede. 1996 and 1997 were like that for the internet, for the web technology, and you want to get a date as early as you can and think about what's novel. I, as an investor, want to make sure that I'm investing in something that is novel and protectable, because ultimately what happens with IP, and you may or may fail, and the detritus of a failed company might be the patent portfolio at the end of the day.
For example, Twitter came out of a failed podcasting company that Jack, what's his name?
Dorsey.
Yeah.
Basically had this idea about coming from his previous life as a dispatcher related to texts, 140 characters. And they pivoted, in effect, to Twitter, which, regardless of the fact that they may not have 1 billion users, they've got 300 million, which is not bad for
Not bad.
a day's work. Andrew, you had a thought?
Yeah, because when I think about investment in Poland, we got some quite successful startups in Poland who are trying to reach capital, and we need also advisors. So maybe I pass this to Jacob.
No, thank you guys for this panel. So I have another
Can you say who you are?
I'm Jacob, the founder of Estimode. So I have a question. So 4 days ago we had in Krakow Sam Altman, president of Y Combinator, and he told us that something we have here in Central and Eastern Europe, which is Poland and Ukraine and Romania and so on, is the tech talent, engineers and hackers and mathematicians and scientists. A lot, amazing. And the challenge is that we're not that good as a society, running business and selling. It's because for the 50 years, communism just destroyed that culture, right? So I think my comment and my question to Paul and you would be, how do you think, as a Central Europe, right, but not only Poland, how we should leverage that talent we have, this amazing engineering talent, how we should rebuild that culture of taking risk, of selling, of building, of changing the world, of taking these initiatives. So, can you answer that question?
Well, actually, I think Titus would be the perfect person for this. And let me just say that, Titus took us on a tour of the old town, and in process, gave us a little insight into his personal history, which is both here and in the United States. So, I think yeah, exactly.
And inspiring.
Yeah, so I come from a family of entrepreneurs. They ran a factory on August 1st, 1944, it would be 100 years old. And it got destroyed during the Warsaw Uprising. And my family kept that entrepreneur spirit in me. And I think, I'm personally tired of going to Bitspiration and hearing the excuses and we have this, we don't have this. Just do it. And your story and the story of a couple of other people, you applied to Y Combinator, you send out emails, you asked for mentoring, you talked to Paul. It's here, you can do it. There's no excuse. And communism ended. It's, you really have to act. And it's, if you don't act, you're losing out. And everybody can be a winner. And you just have to have the mentality of the winner, maybe an underdog, but just do it.
I'm just going to add one thing. Maybe you don't see it, but the quality of pitches, the quality of people coming to us from 6 years ago to now is not comparable. You guys are already doing it. You just don't see it because you live here, but the quality is
elevating.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that I see, I moved to the Valley because that's where the tech industry is, and the progress that has been made in the last 3 years. I met Cuba 3 years ago. I remember there were maybe 4, and there was literally Estimate, and now they have a competitor or a couple of competitors here, and they're working together, and they have awesome products and awesome businesses. It's not just a one thing, and there's success feeds other success, and entrepreneurs create other entrepreneurs.
And
Tina
it does
Baker.
take time and patience too, don't you
Tina
think?
Baker.
Yeah, I didn't mean to step on your line.
It's okay.
It takes time and patience.
It takes time. I don't think these things happen overnight. Even when you're talking about a 6-year time frame, that can be a relatively short time to change the kinds of things that you're talking about. But clearly, the road is, you're on the road. You should feel confident that you're on the road. And I don't think it's going to work, here like it works in Silicon Valley necessarily. And I don't think that should be the aspiration either. You need to forge your own way.
The Valley has its own problems.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are out there. It's kind of a gold rush mentality. The whole unicorn thing, I think, is way overblown. And even though it causes a lot of hardship and pain being a startup, the fact that unicorns are now starting to have to actually produce earnings and get into the real brass knuckles world of technology, I think that's a good thing. When the smoke clears, there are going to be a lot. If we remember the first bubble, there was a lot of ideas there that seemed ludicrous at the time, and they were ludicrous at that time. But now we see food being delivered by drones. That is what those startups were thinking about in 1990.
Webvan in particular.
Exactly, Webvan, and now it's commonplace. The platforms that are engaging in this struggle, what's going on in terms of, I mentioned this in the conversation with Titus yesterday, what's going on in terms of the auto industry is so radical in its overturning. We're going to see that flip from Apple being a phone maker to Apple being a car maker. They may not sell a specific car, but they and Uber are going to dominate the discussion about how we live our lives. We have a 15-year-old daughter who we're trying to figure out how we can take advantage of the fact that I have to be for my job on the East Coast a lot. And so we are trying to figure out how we can do that while she finishes up school in California. And if it wasn't for Uber, we wouldn't be able to do it. So it affects, it's it's a tipping point for a lot of things that go on in the family, personally, emotionally, in terms of what our hopes and aspirations are and how we transmit that to our children. This is a real ballgame. So your first comment about, you know, the effects, I can feel, as an outsider, I can feel Poland is a very sober place in my assessment, just, you know, being here for a couple of days, because of what history has brought. And you may be excited about these opportunities, but you're also mindful of big power politics and how how really good things can go really bad in the wrong hands. So I respect your trepidation about this, but I also agree totally with what everybody's saying here. And I want to hear what Tina says about it.
What I think is that there's sort of a mid-ground, and I think, you know, I'm from the US, and even I get scared about Silicon Valley. I think there are some things about it that don't seem very human to me. And I relocated to London about 16 years ago, and I think part of it was for an emotional reason. I feel at home there. There's something about Europe that is just a bit more soulful and human. And so I think, sorry, I mean, I am American, but I do feel this way. I think there are huge networks, though, of mentors and opportunities for entrepreneurship in Europe. And that for entrepreneurs in countries where the networks are not that well developed, you're not that far from one that really is. So I think I might have mentioned this yesterday when I was talking with Titus. Seedcamp picks companies from all over Europe. So if you feel that you don't have enough of a network or you want to get plugged into something, you know, reach out to those people or some of the other, the startup boot camp. There's, I mean, you just go on the web, you can find so many different groups throughout Europe. And, you know, even if you don't get into the program or you don't want to commit to that, you can still get hooked into people and you'll be really surprised. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. People just want to help each other. You know, you email people and you just say, or you ask someone, you know, I email people and say, hey, here's so-and-so, he's doing this and he just wanted to pick your brain. People love to talk about themselves. They really do, right? So if you reach out to someone and say, you know, I understand you do this, it's amazing, I'd like to hear more, maybe, you know, we could discuss. 9 times out of 10, they will reply positively.
That's how we actually met.
Excuse me, that's how we met.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's partially a selfish thing, but like, how do you establish any relationship with people that goes somewhere? You show an interest in them. So it's kind of like, you know, all I'm saying is there's plenty of opportunities in Europe and to learn lessons about entrepreneurship without having to go to the scary valley.
And if I can follow up on what Tina said, like, people are not interested in your nationality. They're interested in your product. Like, people in the valley, they don't care if you're from Poland or if from New York. Everybody speaks funny and everybody has to have, you know, a good product.
I'll speak for yourself.
Says the New Yorker.
But yeah, it's the product, and like, it doesn't matter. Like, you just have to build amazing things people want. And that's it.
I would agree with Tina. Just ask, because that's the thing. Maybe you mentioned communism, whatever. For often than not, I see that people don't ask, and then 3 years later, I wanted to tell you something, but you look so busy, and well, you never tried, right? So ask. Most people actually, like you said, I agree. If you just come to us, email us, we'll reply. But for more often than not, I see that you never actually reached out in the first place, so we cannot know. So please do it.
I do sense this wonderful feeling here, though, that in the spirit of helping each other, that if I help you and you succeed, then we all start to succeed. And that's what I feel is very different from, you know, the valley. This is a wonderful spirit, and it's going to bring you, I think, great success, you know, working that way.
To be fair, though, I can remember a time on University Avenue near your offices, Stuart, which was Facebook had offices across the street.
Right next door to my office, yes.
Right, and one day they, a bunch of developers, open standards, engineers, etc. Dave Weiner, I mentioned before, he pioneered the idea of the unconference, which was basically you don't have a plan, you don't have sessions, you all come together, and then you sit around for the first hour or so, and you figure out, what you want to say, and people raise their hand and say, well, I'd like to talk about this. And somebody writes it on a board, and eventually it sort of materializes into a very structured, fascinating conference. And we have to get back to the States on Sunday. We're going to go to London for a couple of days, and then we're going to go back because I've been invited to a conference on I guess you'd call it bots. Has anybody here heard of bots? About 10% of the audience? Okay, well, in Silicon Valley right now,
bots are big.
Bots crazy. That's all they want to think about, which is basically people are so excited about talking to machines and not being understood that they're lining up to create bots. This doesn't sound like a big deal, but each bot interacts with an API that is exposed. All of your companies, all of the companies in the States, all of the companies in the whole technology community, as they proliferate these APIs, we develop this kind of lingua franca, this sort of polyglot that can be addressed from these very powerful devices that we have in our pockets. And you can get the information you're looking for. So it looks like gamification and all of these buzzwords, but the reality is that this is going to drive everything in a very short 6 month to a year period. You're going to see the impact of it. So
are you suggesting jump into bots?
Go ahead.
So it makes you happy because more bots equals more notifications. I know you love your notifications. Right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I'll pay you later.
Your notification lover, you.
But this conference that I'm going to on bots, it's a small group of people from Google and Microsoft and Salesforce and various other companies, and we're all going to get there together. And I look at the invite, and it's an unconference. So my point is that we're going back in the valley to the same kind of beginnings of this, and what you're doing right now is also what in the States, in Silicon Valley, we have to catch up to where you are. We have to leapfrog back to what you guys are doing right now. So you have a lot of power, and it doesn't look at the time like it's going to be a unicorn, and it may not, but it is going to be something that you are going to control for your own purposes, for your own ideas, and there's just nothing more powerful than that. Anybody else have any thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, I feel there's, like in the Industrial Revolution, you had things happening in England, and then they went to France and Germany, and then the US, and the same thing is like happening right now. You have the digital revolution, phase 1 or phase 2, and like it's like exploding, Tel Aviv, London, China, Poland. It's like, the valley is not like a place, it's a mentality, and people here, get the mentality.
Andrew? Oh, say who you are.
Hi, my name is Ivan Hernandez, and I'm the founder of the Digital Loop. And actually, one of the things that I wanted to add is it's a matter of being creative about how you can make these connections. And a perfect example of that is actually the Digital Loop, which is a podcast that we founded together with Paul, which basically is a channel that allows us to connect with all these different entrepreneurs and founders and thought leaders. And because we give them a platform where we can share and discuss and connect with different ecosystems and share a lot of information, this has opened the doors to have a better engagement in different markets.
So there's another tool out there called meetup.com where you can just set up your own topic and venue and invite people to show up and participate. And that's local to particular geographic areas, but going to be replicated any place. So look up meetup.com.
You know, there's
I want to throw a curveball here because we're running out of time. Something I noticed, or my wife may have noticed yesterday, there are a lot of women in this room. This is not as common in the United States.
It's really exciting to see
It's
that.
really, there's a different thing going on here. And I'd like to hear from, a woman as to why you're here. Why are you here?
Me?
Yeah.
Sure. Why not? Okay.
I'm here because a few days ago I did a major step in my career, I suppose. I resigned from the work to the worldwide company and decided to start the work in a startup company. So that's why I am here.
Somebody else.
Hi, I'm Basia Naszorowska. I've been out of Poland for over 25 years, but I'm here now again. I'm actually here for the third time for Bitspiration, because I discovered it, I can't remember how now, but this is the best source for me, for new ideas, for actually new company divisions, at least that I have. I run a company, my second run already from 2001, and each time I want to now create a new innovation. I'm here to source the technical people for that and also ideas. My first time when I came, I saw a piece of equipment on the floor and I said to the guy, so what is this? That was in 2014. He said to me, it's a robot. I said, well, what does it do? For what is it? So I said, in plain English, please explain to me, not in Polish actually. It would be easier for me in English so I can sell it to the English-speaking people there. And actually that robot has been designed by the Polish guys, and the meaning was they wanted to use it more for the defense force to look for bombs and basically. But since I live in South Africa and we have other problems, we have day-to-day threats from normal criminals, and I've decided, no, I'm going to change this robot. This robot will be the robot for security. And I'm going to bring this idea to South Africa. And I'm proud to say that I actually got an email yesterday from this entrepreneur who now sits in Silicon Valley already. I met him in San Francisco there, specifically to meet him even there in San Francisco last year. And he told me, okay, it's the price you wanted. And basically we're going to compete with iRobot, which I'm sure you know who iRobot company is. It's a US company.
I read the book.
It's a US company that is extremely successful and has been bought out by Google, I think, or some other big name. And who knows, maybe you see me there.
Okay, Andrew, last thoughts?
Come to Eastern Europe often, you see that kind of setup with a lot of women very much often, trust me.
This is your baby. How come you're here? Why are you here?
So, as I said at the beginning, we started because we want to somehow connect different industry. As you can see, and we know we got different kind of industry here. We are trying to connect with business and also with tech part. For instance, we got people from music industry. Magda.
Hi, I'm Magdalena Jensen. I'm Polish-American actually, similar to Titus, I think. And I also, with two other women, actually, we run a cultural startup, music-based startup and agency, based out of Warsaw, Poland, but also doing a lot of work internationally, particularly in Europe.
So what is it about the music world that is uniquely Poland, and why does the world care?
So I started Chimes last year. I've been functioning in the music industry already for about the last 7 years. But I started Chimes last year because I realized that Poland is at a particular tipping point in its music industry, that there is a great need and a great kind of problem, let's say, that we identified as kind of a lack of professionalization and a lack of seeing your band and what you do in the industry has a business potential. Like understanding that you can actually plan out your career as a business. So that's something that we're specializing in, is working on professionalization of the industry. And through my travels over the past 7 years, I've noticed that there is a great interest in Poland and an increasing interest in Poland, and rightfully so, because it's a country that is populated by nearly 40 million people, with Poles have approximately 1/3 of their income that they can spend on disposable income, basically per capita. Approximately 1/3 is disposable income, and concerts are amongst some of the kind of greater percentages of where people spend their disposable income. So for people from abroad, for bands from abroad, there's great interest in entering this market. So we're kind of positioning ourselves as that link for those people as well.
And then maybe Tina might
Yeah, Tina,
have some insight to that.
you want to tie that together with...
Your music?
Well, I don't care whether you...
No, but I mean, the music business is dead, so I mean...
Yeah, but I mean, she just pointed out that...
That's not.
If there's any money, it's in...
It's in live.
Unless you sign to a major label and then they take it all, so I don't... I guess for indie bands, it's probably okay.
Are we going to get into that debate right now?
No, I don't want to actually.
But you know, one of the things that is super cool about Poland and Eastern Europe is that you can beta test things here, and beta test them for the US market, for Europe, and you can do it really quickly. And it's, you know, you get to meet, you know, cool people like you guys.
All right, Paul, last thoughts from you.
Well, please come back, more often. Honestly, you'll see it's, I mean, out of all the emerging markets I go to, and I do quite a lot, this is a very exciting market.
Okay, and Titus, you've already had your last word, but do you have anything else?
It's your birthday, David.
It's my birthday today. So she speaks, her grandma was Polish, and she's looking for someone to get her a recipe for gołąbki, or get her gołąbki today, before her flight to London. So if someone can invite Steve and Tina to their house for gołąbki.
We'll put a little birthday candle in it for you.
And birthday candle on the gołąbki for me.
Something as a suggestion for audience, if you want to invite Steve as an influencer in Gillmor, just bring them to your home and prepare a really good gołąbki.
I just want to say that this has been a very, my mother's family was from Poland as well, and many of them were annihilated in the Holocaust, so this is a very emotional experience for all of us, and these technologies offer great hope and possibility, and they can also be used for great evil and danger. So we have to be very serious, and as they say in the comedy business, which is where my wife and I met, in order to be funny, you have to be really serious about being funny.
That's true.
So that's what I want to say, and I appreciate the opportunity for us to be exposed to a real culture in the middle of so many robots and other things that will, I hope to befriend a robot rather than be killed by it. So I think that the car industry is very exciting to me. When I bought my most recent car, I didn't care about anything at all about how it ran, what kind of gas it used. I wanted to know whether it supported Wi-Fi and all of the things that we do on a daily basis. And the only thing I would wish for Poland is more broadband and cheaper, sooner. Okay, I'm sorry that we don't have enough time to be able to get everybody into the show, but I think Andrew, you've done a great job. I appreciate Stuart jumping in.
Thank you for inviting us here. Thank you. Thank you to Andrew and to Titus for making this happen for the Gillmor game.
And look for this on Tech Crunch in about a year when I clean it up.
It'll be about a
No,
week.
it'll be about a week. Thank
Okay,
you. As
thank you.
I end the show by saying thanks to everybody who showed up, and especially those who didn't. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Dziękuję.